Ambassador Crixtal's mandibles clicked nervously as she reviewed the classified file for the third time. The holographic display projected before her 8 compound eyes showed a simple linguistic analysis that had sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council for the past 6 months. The data was impossible to ignore, yet equally impossible to comprehend. Species: Homo sapiens. Classification: extreme anomaly. Threat level: unquantifiable. Linguistic analysis: CRIT. ICALF, ING. No equivalent term for proportional response exists in any human language. Computer: display historical human responses to threats. Chronological order, Crixtal commanded, her thorax trembling slightly. The air above her desk shimmered with holographic recreations. The first showed an ancient human settlement being attacked by a single predatory animal. Instead of simply driving it away or killing it, the humans had tracked down and eliminated every member of the species within a 100-kilometer radius. The notation beneath read, "Subject species extinct within 1 planetary rotation." The next image materialized, a human military conflict from their 20th century. A single attack on a naval facility had resulted in the deployment of weapons that could obliterate entire cities. Not one city, multiple cities. The humans had created weapons capable of ending their own civilization and had seriously considered using them. "By the 7 moons," Crixtal whispered, switching to her species' most sacred oath. Dr. Velshon, her xenolinguistics advisor, entered the chamber without announcement, a privilege granted only in the most dire circumstances. His usually vibrant blue chromatophores had faded to a sickly pale color. "Ambassador, we've completed the deep analysis of human military doctrine," he said, his voice harmonics betraying his terror. "The results are unprecedented." "Proceed," Crixtal commanded, though every instinct in her evolutionary programming screamed at her to flee. In every documented conflict throughout human history, their response has consistently exceeded the initial threat by factors of 10 to 1,000. Velshon began, his datapad trembling in his grasping appendages. When faced with guerrilla fighters hiding in forests, they didn't just hunt the combatants, they removed the forests entirely. When threatened by submarines, they didn't just improve their detection, they created weapons that could boil entire oceans. The holographic display shifted to show humanity's space colonization efforts. What should have been peaceful expansion had become something far more disturbing. Humans didn't just establish settlements, they terraformed entire worlds, fundamentally altering the quantum structure of local spacetime to accommodate their needs. "But surely this is simple aggression?" Crixtal asked, hoping against hope for a conventional explanation. "Many species exhibit territorial expansion behaviors." "No, Ambassador," Velshon replied, his chromatophores now flashing the deep purple of existential dread. "Aggression implies intent to harm. Humans exhibit something far more dangerous, optimization without upper limits." He activated a new file. "Observe their response to hunger." Other species develop better hunting techniques or agricultural methods. Humans rebuilt their entire planet's ecosystem. When they encountered disease, they didn't just create medicines, they rewrote the fundamental structure of biological systems. When they wanted to communicate across distances, they didn't just develop better signals, they created a quantum-entangled communication network that operates outside normal spacetime. The most disturbing example appeared next: humanity's first contact with a hostile alien probe. The probe had scanned a single human settlement before being destroyed by defensive systems. Within 10 planetary rotations, humans had developed counter-technology, traced the probe's origin across 47 light-years, and sent what they called a diplomatic envoy to the source. The envoy had been a fleet of ships capable of disassembling entire star systems. "The probe builders surrendered immediately," Velshon noted. But here's the truly terrifying part. The humans were genuinely confused by the surrender. They couldn't understand why sending planet killers in response to a scanning probe was seen as excessive. Kriegstahl's respiratory organs struggled to process atmosphere as the implications became clear. They truly don't recognize disproportionate response as a concept. Correct? In human languages, the closest equivalent to our word for overkill translates roughly to making sure the job gets done properly. They have no cognitive framework for enough. When humans solve a problem, they solve it permanently, completely, and with enough redundancy to handle theoretical future variants of the same problem. The final file opened, showing humanity's current project, a minor engineering effort to prevent their sun from eventually dying by constructing a shell around it to capture all its energy output. The project timeline spanned several thousand years and would require dismantling most of their solar system for materials. This is their response to their star having a natural life cycle, Velshan explained. Not their sun dying tomorrow, their sun dying in 5 billion years. Kriegstahl stood silently for several minutes, processing the magnitude of what she'd learned. Every other sentient species in the galaxy operated on principles of minimal necessary force, proportional response, and resource conservation. Humans operated on principles of maximum possible overkill, preemptive elimination of all potential problems, and resource utilization that bordered on reality modification. Ambassador, Velshan said quietly, there's something else. We've detected massive energy signatures from human space. They appear to be constructing backup universes. Backup universes? In case something happens to this one. Kriegstahl closed all 8 eyes and tried to imagine explaining this to the Galactic Council. How do you tell a civilization that had spent millions of years perfecting the art of measured response that there was a species that had never heard of the concept? How do you explain that humans didn't see complete and total overwhelming force as an extreme position, but as their default starting point? The most terrifying realization came last. Humans weren't malicious. They were helpful, curious, and genuinely friendly. They simply existed in a perpetual state of what every other species would consider apocalyptic panic response. And they thought this was normal. Draft a message to the Council, Kriegstahl commanded. Recommend immediate implementation of the preservation protocol. Keep humans happy, keep them fed, and whatever we do, never, ever let them think we pose a threat. Because they'll eliminate us? Velshan asked. No, Kriegstahl replied, her chromatophores flashing the deep red of cosmic horror. Because they'll try to help us,